are prevalent around us now. Children that looks as if they've never entered the church are common everywhere. What happened was basically because the enemy, the devil, invaded and stole the family unit. But we can't just afford to fold our hands and be crying and wailing like the men of David did. We need to take the battle to the enemy's camp. We must pursue. We must overtake. And as we pursue, overtake, then we definitely get a total restoration. We live in a defective world and a defective generation because parenting is actually totally absent. I make bold to tell you, church, listen. We got to this level because of the fact that we let off guard. Just like David and his men. Why should they go to battle? And they didn't leave any of their men behind to safeguard their family, to safeguard their property. We were told that as at that time, David had 600 able-bodied men of war. And it took 600 of such men to go help the king of Philistine to win his own battle. Whereas the battle in his home and the security of his home was left unguarded. That's what majority are doing now. You know, it's easy to read the Bible and criticize the Bible character that we see there. Rubbish David. Why will you do that? Why will you do that? But majority of the parents are doing similar things now. Not knowing that the enemy, the devil, is smart and smarter than all of us. Before we were born, he has existed. He even knew you before you were created. He had access into so many things in the spiritual realm. He was not a devil before. He was called Lucifer, the archangel of the Most High God. It was the angel that was standing before God. So many strategies and so many things that could be used to destabilize the human. He had it in his hand. And he knows that one of the things that he will do towards ensuring that you don't enjoy life is to destroy the foundation. The Bible says, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? The only thing the righteous can do is to seek knowledge, is to pray, is to pursue. Before you can overtake, before you can recover, you must take step. And that's what we want to talk about today. In Revelation chapter 12, verse 4, there's something we saw there. It says, the dragon, the devil, positioned himself such that as soon as the woman gives birth, media, give us. Revelation chapter 12, verse 4. It says, as soon as the woman gives birth to that child, the promised child, that child that is supposed to come deliver you, deliver your family, bring succor to your home, bring testimony into your home, is the same child that is causing you pain. In Revelation chapter 12, verse 4, it says, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the heart. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as she is born. Majority of us Christians, majority of Christians are getting to today's child too late. The enemy is so smart to make sure it gets them immediately they are born. We are in a world of confusion. And we are in a world that the today's child is being devoured by the dragon. And unfortunately, the church is not doing anything about it. For Kingdom Embassy, we rise up today in the mighty name of Jesus. There are so many things the enemy is using to snatch them. You have the electronic media. You have the social media. You have the music world. You have the internet. You have the peer pressure and association, negative association. You've got even religion now is actually having negative impact in their life. Politics, bad leadership, and what is called value system. Value system has been totally eroded. The children and the generation we find ourselves now don't resemble the fathers that have gone ahead. Why? Because there's a distortion between the generation before and the generation now. How did we get here, for crying out loud? How did we get here? In which to get even people to learn trade now is an Herculean task. I saw a particular clip sometimes on the social media, and it shocked me. The guy was the one that took that clip and made it viral. What was this clip all about? A group of 3 guys left their village somewhere in Auchi, around Auchi, and they went to Benin City, and they were knocking from one gate to the other. Ask me, what were they looking for? They were looking for who will teach them how to do Yahoo. I'm telling you what I know. It's not something to laugh about. It's the danger that we have found ourselves. And if we don't do anything about it, for God to restore back the beautiful times and the beautiful values that we used to have. They said they restored the old national anthem. Is it about restoring the old national anthem or restoring the old value system? The value system in which everybody will know that there's dignity in labor, in which everybody will rise up and say no to corruption, in which people will use their hands to actually get the things they want. But now, that's nowhere to be found. Why? Because of the destroyed value system. Look at those 3 boys. They were looking for who will teach them Yahoo. Very unfortunate. They caught some group of people sometimes ago. Unfortunately, the young girl has lost her life. Unfortunately, she wasn't salvaged. But what happened? On Facebook, someone posted on Facebook on how to teach them how to do money rituals. And these guys, young guys, 13, 14, the oldest of them was 17 years old. And they lured their girlfriend into the house and they killed the girl. And they were following steps on the Facebook on how they can use the girl to do ritual money. They were told that they were to do it in the middle of the night. They killed the girl in the evening in one-room apartment, tie her body and took the vital parts and tied the girl inside a sack, put it in their room. And they went to an uncompleted building to continue the rituals. While they were burning the vital parts, the security of this environment, I'm not telling you what I read in books. These are documented things on the internet. They eventually arrested them. The security around the environment began to perceive odors coming from that uncompleted building. And they went closer and they discovered that there were a group of 3 young boys burning some item. After further investigation, they saw that they actually wanted to do money ritual. How did you get here? That was the question. Who did you use? They went home and saw the lifeless body of a teenager that because of immorality, young girl, I love him, he loved me, all those things. The value system has been totally destroyed now. Even fathers in the house don't ask children where they got money from. They don't. Just make money. Once you make money, you are celebrated now. It does not matter how. They have even told that we now have what is called Yahoo Parents Association. How did we get here, for crying out loud? It's because of the fact that the church did not do or is not doing as much as it should do. But I trust God that in Kingdom Embassy we will arise today in the mighty name of Jesus. We got here because of the fact, obvious fact, that parenting the generation now was totally eroded. Now, do you know, their research has it that before this generation that we are currently having, there are 4 generations that led to this one. They classify the first one as the traditionalist or the builders generation. Those were the generations before 1945. That generation was a stable one. There was so much of peace, tranquility available. After that generation, we were told that the next generation that came was known as the boomer generation. Boomer, or known as the baby generation. In this one, were the people that lived between 1964 and 1946 and 1964. This generation had a very prosperous time. They were very adventurous. It was a very adventurous generation. And if you note it, these were the generations that championed the independence of so many countries of the world. Between 1946 and 1964, majority of the activists that we have were actually established, or they came into force in this particular generation. At that time, it wasn't about how much you have. It was about your contribution to the system. My own dad happened to be part of that generation. They give him money to compromise his stand. He will say, no, I'm standing for the defense of the workers of Nigeria. They must be remunerated. They must be paid. People deserve to have good quality of life. But immediately after this generation of 1946 to 1964, because those ones did what they should do, they were able to produce another generation known as the Buster generation. They came into existence basically as a result of what is called a silver spoon. Their parents had done so well. They came to existence. They met all the wealth. At this time, you had what is called the oil boom. At the oil boom, they were preoccupied with prosperity. So much money to throw around. And because of the fact that there was so much money to throw around, they abandoned the value system. They abandoned it. They were busy chasing after what they needed to actually feed the family. They didn't feel they needed God. They felt they had everything they wanted. This was the generation between 1965 and 1980. And now, this is the generation we want to talk about, known as the Bridger generation. In this Bridger generation, this is the generation that majority of you seated here found yourself. 1980 to date. Most of those people are the ones that are now current parents of this generation. Unfortunately, because they lacked parenting themselves, they were allowed to actually enjoy all those beautiful things of life. The value system that existed from the first generation was lost along the line. And now is the end time generation. This generation is the one that is prone to crime, prone to violence. They are highly visual, these thick people. The internet world, the generation in which are being parented not by human being any longer, parented by systems, parented by the electronic media, parented by artificial intelligence, otherwise known as AI. This generation, AI, this generation is a dangerous generation. It's a generation in which if you and I do not do something about it, then we're going to run into serious trouble. We are sitting on a gunpowder now. Most people don't know. We are sitting on a gunpowder, and a gunpowder that is about to explode. Most of the things you hear people do, that's why I told you small of it. I told you little of those things that human beings are doing now. How can you take another human being from Facebook and you said you learned how to do money ritual and you slaughtered the girl, slaughtered her? Why? To do money. It's because of the fact that most of those things are being seen on the internet. Do you know that as I talk to you now, I'm not going to mention that site. There's a site in which they do a particular game, that the end of that particular game is for them to win, that the winner does what is called suicide partner. That's the winner. I can't mention the site, but it's on the internet. They will tell them to do certain things and tell them to do so many things. Afterwards, they will get to the final. The final is to pick a suicide partner. And once they pick that suicide partner, they will choose a suicide date. And on that suicide date, both will die together. They've won the game. That's the way they win the game. I'm telling you, that's the way they win the game. And truly, the devil has won over their soul. The devil has won the game over their soul. I can't release that this thing is there. And do you know, most of you seated here, don't deceive yourself. We are going to get there. I pray you will listen to me. And I pray those that are listening to me on air too will hear the words of reasoning. We are the voice crying in the wilderness, make straight this path. We've been crying about this. But some will say, wow, old school generation. It's the old school generation that got it right. This new school is actually being schooled by the devil himself. A man by the name J. Strack said in his book that in the real sense, today's parents are fighting a fierce battle for their children. And he says the battle is raging in 4 arenas. He says number 1 is the first battle for who controls the mind, which involves constant assault to the Christian values. Nowadays, you see so many of the Christian values being challenged. Being challenged. Everything said in church, outside there, the enemy challenges. Why should we pray on the assembly? Why should we have the family altar? What's the need for the Bible? This song of church is boring. It looks more lively in the club. The vibes in the club looks more interesting everything being said for godly development is assaulted by the devil. It's a war. You tell your children godly things, they're going to go out there to meet other children that are being parented by the devil. That's if you are parenting them by Christ. Do you know? Maybe you don't know. Check your teenagers. And teenagers here, listen to me. There's another game they play. They call it Truth and Dare. Have you ever seen it? Have you heard it? If you've not heard it before, it's a game from the pit of hell. Because they will say the truth. That makes it look good. And they will say, you need to dare something. And what they would tell them to dare is to do one negative thing or the other. You cannot slap your teacher. That's the dare. And the young boy will go there and slap the teacher to dare that he's a good guy. It's a challenge against the Christian values. They will say, you can't just go and kiss a girl. They say, and I'm going to show him a big boy. And they walk there and kiss the girl. When the Christian value and the scripture has told us that we should flee from immorality. It says, you've heard that thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say to you, it's not about even touching or doing anything. Once you look, you have committed adultery in your heart. It's a war. And those children are there. And may I tell you, some under the sound of my voice have played that game called Truth and Dare before in this church. I'm telling you. They've done it. They've done it because somebody brought it. Why? Everybody is selling his or her values. You are a weak person when you don't even have any value to sell. The guy that has never been in church is the one that said, dare to do one bad thing. Why can't you dare the guy himself to give his life to Jesus? Why can't you dare the guy to actually live righteously? Why can't you dare that person to live in holiness? Why must you be the one doing the bad thing? I've told my children, I said, it's a shame that you will leave us and go outside there and go imbibe the values of the world. That means you were never standing for anything. If you don't have anything you're standing for, then you will fall for everything. One of the reasons why, personally, even before I became born again, thank God when I became born again, the values of the good upbringing in me was actually now amplified. I don't like this thing they call bandwagon. I don't like what they call vogue. I don't like what everybody is doing. The fact that everybody is doing it is actually a function of carefulness for me. Everybody is about the broad way. There's a broad way and there's a narrow way. The narrow way is only being taken by few people. But the broad way is the bandwagon. So anything everybody is doing is not a good way. Everybody is having girlfriend. That's why you shouldn't have it. They are the crowd. They're on their way to hell. Everybody is lying. They are the crowd. That's why they are going to hell. Everybody is committing sin. They are the crowd. That's why they are going to hell. I like a particular advert. Anytime I talk about value system, I love this. And I don't know why they took it away from the TV. Because of the value system. They didn't allow it to last for 1 month. I believe some people quickly went to tell them and told them to drop it. Because of the fact that it's all about standing for righteousness. Even if you are the lone voice in that particular episode. In that advert, they wanted to talk about abstinence from sex. I think, yes, zip up. How many of us have had it before? zip up. And there were these two ladies. They stood and they saw another young lady. They walked up to that young lady and told her how she should belong, and asked her if she was still intact. And you know what I mean by intact? If she was still a virgin. And when they heard of her age, they began to laugh. They said, rubbish, at this age, you are still intact. You better come and belong to the class of the big girls. And I love what that girl said. The girl laughed and said, I don't want to belong to where you are. It says, if I want to belong to where you people are, I don't need up to 5 minutes. I'm already at your level. I don't need up to 5 minutes. He said, but you, the two of you, where I am, you can never come there. Do you know the meaning? They've lost their virginity. They can't gain it back. But losing virginity is just common. Anybody, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can take it. But when you don't know you have the original, they brainwash you to make you feel as a bad person. We are in a generation in which even people living right now, they make you feel as if you are the bad one in your place of work because you are not collecting bribe. Everybody, even the so-called pastors in church, will come and tell you that you're being holier than thou. Oh boy, relax this thing about Christianity. Me too, I am a Christian. Me too, I am a pastor. Me too, I am this. You better not allow them to take away the virtue that will take you to that high. They lost it on the platform of bad parenting. This man said, the battle against the mind to actually make sure that your Christian values are eroded is the number one battle that is raging against the today's child. The battle for the body is the second one. The battle for the body. Now, sexual sin is a common thing. They make you believe that it's not a big deal. Everybody is doing it. It's not true. It's not true. As a pastor, I know people that are not committing immorality. Don't let anybody lie to you. You want to get married. They've made you believe. Even the so-called parent-in-law now will say, before they actually give you a date for the wedding, there must be something inside. Have you not heard now? I don't want my son to wait. I don't want all those things. Oh yeah, something. How will somebody become pregnant if they didn't sleep with themselves? It's an eroded value. It's a battle raging against the body. And the third one is the battle for the family, which I'm talking about today. The third battle, the enemy is actually raging against the church and against the today's child, is the battle for the family, which involves the breakup of homes, separation, and divorces. Now, divorce is a common thing. Google it. How many divorces happened this week? You'll be shocked. Even those that are not yet divorced, they are already separated. Some are not physically separated. They are husband and wife. They may even be in this church that are just living like housemates or roommates. They are no longer together. There are people that actually communicate with themselves via WhatsApp. WhatsApp. Hello, how are you? Why are you telling me how are you? Sorry, it was a mistake. Is my food ready? Don't you know where the food is? See it on the table. Okay? Thank you. Do I need your thank you? Of what use is it? And they'll be chatting themselves. They are seated in the sitting room. You would think they are husband and wife. And when they come to church, because they want to deceive the pastor. They will even wear the same clothes. They wear the same clothes. It's a battle. You better face the battle head on now so that you can win it. Finally, the battle for this one is that the enemy, the devil, is actually fighting for the soul of today's child. And remember, when you're talking about the soul, the devil is not fighting an easy battle, is fighting to keep. He wants to take people to hellfire. It's unfortunate that the devil seems to be more organized than most parents sitting there and most of these young people. Let me tell you, I'm not just talking to older people, I'm talking to all of us. Some people are here. If your parents are not doing the right thing, you can choose to live right. And that's why we want to teach ourselves this. The enemy is moving at a very organized speed, and is moving at a jet speed. He knows he has limited time. Unfortunately, the church is moving at a snail speed. Even those that seems to be doing something are getting to these children too late. You're getting there too late. You do the things you should do at the time in which the efficacy of your efforts has become totally eroded. That's what it means. Your effort will no longer show because you got there too late. God is asking. The heart of God is bleeding. He's asking the church in kingdom embassy to go rescue this generation. And when I'm talking about this generation, I'm not just talking about your own children in your house, even though they are included. To rescue this generation, to bring back the right values into their life. And it's going to involve every child you meet. It's going to involve every person you meet. It's going to involve everyone that you come in contact with. How do we do that? Number one is that you're going to show love and understanding. You're going to show love and understanding. All I have painted, we got there because of the fact that people no longer love each other. We don't love ourselves. How on earth will anybody kill another person to get wealth if there's love in it? So parents here and individuals listening to me, please note that we must show love and understanding. That's the number one solution. And as you show love and understanding, then you will be able to rescue them. People listen to people that love them. People respond back to people that actually show love back to them. Parents, listen, you need to show love. You must love your children. You must actually make them see love. But caution in the love I am talking about. So many things people interpret as love in parenting is actually serious hatred. And the things you call love are the things you are using to destroy those children. Jesus told us in Matthew 7, from verses 9 to 11, he says, "Of what man is there among you who, if his son asks for bread, he will give him stone? Or if he asks for fish, will he give him serpent?" But do you know that even though physically that is not possible, but spiritually, that's what majority are doing now. That's why the children of this generation are dying on a daily basis. And when I'm talking about death, some of them are still walking about physically, but they are totally empty spiritually. Why? They only ask you for bread, you gave them stone. They ask you for fish, you gave them serpent. They didn't know then, they were still very fresh. They said, "Daddy, I need fish," and you handed serpent into their hands. Eventually, that serpent was what will destroy them. Why or how does this happen? There are 4 classes of parents that exist that we need to know. And you will know by that, you will know the category you fall into. The category of parents that you fall into will determine if you will be giving your own child serpent or stone all this while. What they all asked for was just bread and fish. And you give them stone and serpent. There are 4 classes. Number 1, class of parents is the one we call the permissive parents. Permissive parents are the ones that have no control, but they show love. No control, but they have so much of love. Love in the sense that everything your child asks for, you give the child. Daddy, I want to watch cartoon for the whole of the day. Child, I love you. Anything you want, take it. I'm not going to church today. Wow, you don't like church? Don't worry, I give you. Dad, my teacher, they smiled to me very well this morning. Can you change my school to the other school? Yes, son. Anything for you. Dad, I saw a particular cloth. Or mom, I saw a particular cloth on my neighbor today. I want you to empty all my wardrobe and go ask for that particular parent where he bought those kind of wares for his child. Change my wardrobe. Son, daughter, anything for you. I'm going to show you I love you. I will show you anything you want. Anything a child wants is not all the things they need. It's not everything they want that is all they need. So it's not everything you give them. If you give them everything they desire or they ask for, you will end up giving them snake. You will end up giving them stone. As I am now, I love my children very well, but I'm not a permissive parent. I give them what I know will benefit their life. If my youngest son should say, Dad, I did well in my exams, and I want you to give me as a gift a brand new car or a Tokumbo car. I want to drive it to school to go show my friends that I had first class. That if I should oblige him of that request, what I have done to him is that I have given him serpents. The so-called gift will destroy him. What will a young boy in the university or even in the secondary school be doing with a car? Once he drives the car, it will attract the bad boys of the school. Yes or yes? Then, as they are attracted, what will they use the car to do? They will use it to begin to carry girls and begin to party and begin to whine. Eventually, what will destroy the young boy? It will be that car. There are so many things you are giving to your children that you are using to kill them, whereas you think you are using it to help them. I'm going to get there, but maybe I should handle it now. Church, if you give your child a telephone connected to internet, you are a wicked parent. You are a devilish parent. You've handed serpent to the hand of those small boys or small girls. It's no love. It's hatred. And anything that eventually comes out of them, the blood of those children will be upon your head. I'm not cursing you. I'm telling you the fact. Because you handed them a snake to be used as a pet. You gave them a lion cub to be used as a puppy. They said they wanted a puppy. You went to buy a lion cub, a baby lion. The lion is going to grow up and going to be the one to heat up that child. You, that you're an adult, say the truth. Don't deceive yourself. Has that phone been beneficial to you? Has it not taken so much of your time? Has it not suggested so many negativity into your mind? Even with your strong mind, with your Christian values. It still happened to me of recent, and I say it with so much. I don't preach what I have not done. And that's why when I see Christians say, I want to show my child, I love my child, and you buy an iPad for the child, and you connect internet to it, you have just lost parenting from that first day. You are not the one parenting that child again. You say, my child does not go out, does not mingle with anybody. Your child is not mingling with the neighbor's children, but is connected to the whole wide world. One day, he will discover that site in which he's going to commit suicide. I said I can't mention it because I'm on here. Some of this generation are adventurous generation. Even when I mention the site now, they will intentionally go check it out because they want to prove a point. That's why I'm not mentioning that site. It's a suicide site. And you now gave the iPad and say, he's using it to do assignment in school. He's using it to do English and maths. He's using it, and you gave the iPad to the child, you have just given the child snake. That's what will kill the child and destroy it. You are what is called a permissive parent. A permissive parent. You say you have love, but no control. The other one is the neglective parents. These ones don't have control, no love, nothing. You find those ones basically in low-income earners. Some of them don't have reason to give birth to children. They don't. They only gave birth to those children because they were involved in immorality. You see them when they wake up, children, they just tell them to go out. They look for how to feed by themselves. They look for how to make ends meet. Whether the children come back or they don't come back, it does not concern them. Food and give them headache. Eventually, when the children come back, anywhere they like, they sleep. Those are the neglective parent. The third one is the authoritarian parent. The authoritarian parents are the ones that have a lot of control, but they don't show love. They control. Your own parenting is the lion of the tribe of Judah. When you enter the house, everybody takes cover. That's not a good one. You will push these children away. You are not getting involved in what they like. Even when they come close to you to try to talk to you, you shut them up. That somebody said something to me in school. Do you know what is called truth and Pastor Tommy, they said that truth and let me not hear it from you again. You begin to shout the child. You didn't even hear if the child has already done it. You didn't hear. Because I said truth and dare now, the girl just mentioned truth. You did not even allow him to say dare. You have concluded. You kiss somebody. Oh yeah, go into the room. Let me check you. Are you still intact? You begin to jitter. No! Those are parents that have control, but are not giving these children the opportunity to bond with them. Do you know your girls? Do you know your boys? Do you know that to the extent that you can determine how far they can behave? Just listen. Never you say, my child cannot do it. I trust my child. He can never do it. Foul. You deceive yourself. Some of you seated here, when you were teenagers, the things you did your mommy and daddy know? All the places you go, you went, did your mommy and daddy know? They didn't know. So give them the room to talk. Enter into their world. Let them share some of those mistakes that they made. And when they share those mistakes, don't use a sledgehammer to kill them. If you use that, you just lost a golden opportunity. Teenagers here, you have made mistakes in time past. That's not the end of the world. You've got the pastors. You can come share with us. Pastor Ruka is there. You can come relate with us on some of those things. you made those mistakes because you thought you were doing the right thing. The enemy, the devil, was the one that sent his angels to actually attack your soul. But God has brought this message for you today to deliver you. And you'll be delivered permanently in the mighty name of Jesus. So those authoritarian parents that have control but no love, stop it. Allow them. It's good to discipline, but they must not be without the balance. The balance is actually the authoritative parent. In the authoritative parenting, you have the control and you have the love. You actually discipline them when it's necessary, and when you show love based on the agape kind of love. Agape kind of love is the unconditional love, in which you show them love, not basically because of the things they feel they wanted. It's because of the things they needed. In my growing up years, didn't like my dad too well. I didn't like my mom too well. But today, I'm on here. I celebrate them everywhere they are. And God will bless them for me. God will keep them. They are old. They will still continue to get older in the mighty name of Jesus. Why? They tutored me in the way of the Lord. They trained me in the way I should go. I didn't like it before I became born again. I didn't know they were helping me. Sometimes when they gather us in fellowship and say we have to do family altar, some of us will be sleeping and say, oh, every time family altar, Bible, every time prayer, every time vigil, every time. And when we make mistakes, they don't commonize. Growing up years, my dad laid my bum on the bed like this. After I finished the session of caning, my older brother came in from the university. He reported me again. That what didn't belong to me, otherwise known as stealing. That value entered my life that day. 10 kobo of church is not in my hand. If you see anything on us, it's God's grace. It's not tithes and offering that we are using to do any personal thing. It's not done here in Kingdom Embassy. I don't know of others. It was a result of values of the kingdom that were being inculcated. So, but when I was going through that training, I thought they hated me. So, see, native parents that shows control and have love. When they need to get certain things in life, give it to them. When they don't need those things, be bold enough to say, no, you can't have it. In my house, up till now, nobody in my house, nobody, it doesn't happen. No matter how God takes us to that level in which the mom will enter into the kitchen and A will say, I want jollof rice. B will say, I want eba. It's not done. It's part of the training. You say because you have coins in your pocket, you've got all the food stuff. That's not why you should destroy their life. You should train them to learn to live with whatsoever they find at that time. It'll be away from you. If you've not inculcated them with godly values, they will compromise that belief. They will. Anything we eat in our house, everybody eats it. If you don't want it, you will go hungry. I am yet to see anybody that because he or she did not eat for one day, died. Have you seen it, church? Do you know? Mommy, wait. Sometimes they hey, Pastor, what you told me, I tried, but the girl was crying. Do you know what I used to tell my children? I said, if you like, cry blood. If you didn't cry the day they gave birth to you, my lifestyle, we were praying for him to cry. The doctor beat him like no man business. Well, until that day, they said, beating him. He said, why are they beating the boy? They say he must cry. Oh. I said, if the boy doesn't want to cry, he must cry by fire, by force. He must cry. They said crying is actually the process of exchanging oxygen and the carbon dioxide. Your child crying, crying, tell him to cry very well. He will live longer. So most of those values are the things the enemy has sold to us that have made us destroy these children. Destroy these children. Anytime we go to family function, people around us used to tell us that they love the way we train our children. And God will continue to train them. When my young son, my first son, entered into GS1, intention to have a feel of what dad and mom too went through. Because in my time, where I used to trek is from Iyanokpada to Ishutiye. Even if you give me transport money, I will spend it all because I was used to it. And so my parents decided not to be giving us. It's not even worth it. So, and you will see us, immediately we go to school, you will see seas of heads. Feeling it. Why now? Why are you dropping all those things? Why? Those things are part of the things that made you to become strong. Your parents cane you when you were growing up. If your child does anything now, you say, don't allow cane to touch the bum. I don't care. You know what I suffered? Your parents do suffer to give birth to you. You are not the only one that went through that pain. So don't destroy the child. When a child here asks for fish, don't give them serpent. So we're talking about authoritative parents. So give them time. The authoritative parents show love by speaking love languages. There are certain love languages that are real love. It's not just in the money. It's not just in the iPad. It's not in the phone. It's not leaving them to watch television 24/7. Those are no love. It's hatred. Into the night, a boy dropped interviewing the boy. The boy confided in us that in his room he has a television connected to the DSTV. So, TAM. They will now come to school. Rubbish school. You are not teaching them. You want teacher to slice the brain of the boy and stuff book inside it? It's not possible. The boy got to school and was sleeping because he has done vigil. Where were the parents? No parents available. Those things cannot be achieved by magic. It cannot be achieved by speaking love language. Please, let's go back. Thank God they were singing it. All of them that brought it back, they didn't know it themselves. Don't tell them I told you. People on the ear, don't tell them I told you. You will see them, they were chopping out. But with time, we all learn it. As you bring the old national anthem, bring back the old values. The old values of quality time. Was it Tim Nayaye that talked about love languages? He said there are basic 5 love languages that must be spoken. Okay, Gary Chapman. Thank you for reminding me that author. I'm trying to get Gary Chapman. He spoke about 5 love languages. He said number 1 is what is called quality time. Those quality time used to exist of old. That's why all of us came out the way we were. That's why you came out well. When you come back from farm, immediately it's around 5:36, you are back from farm. Even when you are on farm, after you are finished and cook it with oil, then when grandpa stays or your father stays, he will begin to tell you all the stories of the village. Yes or yes? You, when last did you tell stories to your children? Even when you are in the sitting room with them. Oh, Jesus Christ, help us. Daddy, phone. Mommy, phone. Children, iPad. Babies, cartoon. Hello? Have container arrived? I've not seen the container. That is business. Mommy is talking about the Asoebi. That party. That party is going to be very wonderful. Ensure that my Asoebi gets to me. The children are on iPad, connected to the internet. What does it mean to kiss? That's what they are checking on the internet. You don't know. They are adventurous people. And the one on cartoon is on dangerous cartoon. Maybe you don't know. Oh, you've not had that. Most of the cartoons are not safe again. Don't assume cartoons are okay. You know, if you have opportunity to take your children, to take your family on leave, find time to take them out, to cover up those time lapse that you have actually lost as a result of not available. You don't necessarily have to go to London. You don't necessarily have to go to USA if you can't afford it. Be together. Let them have a connection back to their root. This phone and all these things is killing this generation. It's killing. Most husbands and wives now are not close to themselves because of phone. Mommy and I, we have to tell our... Not because I'm chatting. There are so many instructions. At a particular time, we tell ourselves, please, everybody suspend phone. Let's even see ourselves. Let's see ourselves first. Madam, how are you? Say, I've been here since. You say, yes. We've just been in the house. We're not. And it was existing of old. A young boy, one time, once asked his father, how much they pay him for 1 hour. And the man looked at him and said, what do you mean by that? And the father said, okay, money. And came to the father and said, sir, take. He said, what is this for? I want to buy 1 hour of your time. So that at least you can stay with me with 1 hour. The man began to weep. Father not available. Mother not available. 4 a.m. you are already at the bus stop. You don't come back until maybe 10 p.m. God help you that it didn't rain that day. If it rained, it's 2 a.m. And by 4 a.m. Monday to Saturday, they will now tell you again, Friday, they will now tell you again, you need to balance one account. On Saturday, you are there. On Saturday, and you are a worker in church. The whole of Sunday, you are in church, attending to pastor, attending to Sunday school, attending to this thing. You better not let off guard. Pastors' children that become wayward are the pastors that let off guard. The first person I must win for Christ must be my family. And that's why I don't joke with my family. I don't joke with things that has to do with them. Sometimes we even take ourselves out, go away for weeks. We talk. I can't tell you the number of times we speak every day. Why? Because the family unit is very important. That boy said, let me buy 1 hour. You are a banker woman. You are a banker man. Both of you cannot afford to be doing the same job that will take all your time. No! You want to destroy those children. You can't. One must step down. Not to become housewife. It is forbidden in Christian Kingdom Embassy for women to be housewife. I'm telling you. Not to become housewife, but you do businesses that will take lesser of your time, a level of control of your time. Because housewives eventually usually turn to house gossips. You must work. God did not wire anybody not to work. If you don't do productive work, you will do destructive work. Because after you have done everything, the children have gone to school. I'm going to meet Iyakule. Go. I say I should come and greet you. I say, yeah, this is your house. Oh, yeah, sit down. What do you eat? They start gossiping, the children. When they come back again, they remember it was part 2 that they've got into. They need to watch part 3. After the part 3, they watch part 4. After the part 4, there's another one. Watch out. Quality time. Very, very important. Another one is the physical touch. And he said the words of affirmation, positive confession, talk about the children very well. And he said act of service. Get involved in their own work. Get involved.